Thank you. If we went back to January of 2008, and you had told me, John, I think that the car market is going to go from 17 million units to 10.5 million units, I would have said, nah, you're crazy. There's no way that the car market can drop off that much. We have never, ever seen it drop off that much. And if it does drop off that much, if your forecast is right, that's the end of this industry as we know it. But that's exactly what happened. GM Chrysler went bankrupt, Ford stock dropped down to $1.30, and I would have said, yeah, now I believe you, you're right. The market did drop to 10.5 million units, 9.5 million retail, and I was right myself. There's no way that this industry can survive at that level. So they went through bankruptcy, and what a change. Absolute transformation of this Detroit-based industry. And if just a year ago, January 2009, you had told me, hey John, a year from now, everyone's going to be talking about how great the Ford Motor Company is going because it's profitable, it's gaining market share, that General Motors is gaining market share with the brands that it's keeping, Chrysler's at a break-even standpoint, I would have said, no. This is January of 2009, I would have said, no way. And if you had said in January 2009, Toyota will be publicly humiliated on a global basis because of massive quality problems, I would have said, no, that's not going to happen either. Are you kidding? And yet that's exactly what's happened. I have never seen so many changes, flipping from one total extreme to another extreme, back again and back and forth again, in such a short amount of time in this industry. I would even say in the Great Depression, this industry never went through anything like that. And yet here we are. And I'm telling you, from my vantage point, I see the Detroit 3 fully competitive on a global basis for the first time in my career. I've never seen this before. Because I had nothing to do with it. You're the ones who are making this happen. But think about this at Ford Motor Company. Last year, Ford Motor Company sales, 2009, dropped 590,000 units. I mean, that's a bigger drop-off in sales than some car companies sell in an entire year. That was the drop-off, 590,000 vehicles. And because their sales dropped so much, Ford's revenue dropped by $20 billion. That's a big number, even in these days when we talk trillions. $20 billion is a lot of revenue to take off the top line. And yet, we saw in the fourth quarter alone, Ford Motor Company made a $2.7 billion net profit, making money in every single region of the world and made more money in the North American market on automotive than any other place. $17 billion swing on the bottom line, with a 590,000 unit drop-off in sales, a $20 billion drop-off in net revenue. That tells me how complete and transformative this change has gone. And I'm surprised General Motors hasn't released its numbers on the fourth quarter yet, but I think they're headed for a profit as well. In fact, Ed Whitaker came out yesterday and said GM's cut some $10.7 billion in cost on an annual operating basis. Marchione says Chrysler's at a break-even standpoint right now. So that's a pretty easy prediction for me to see where we're going here. I figure in about 2 years' time, maybe 3, Ford Motor Company will report all-time record profits. All-time. And I think GM will only be about a year or so behind Ford, and I think Chrysler will be about a year behind, General Motors. All-time record profits. Now, here's my economist or forecaster sort of caveat. This is assuming there's not a double dip in the economy. But if we see sales starting to go like some of what Neil showed, of maybe returning to a normalized rate, if whatever that means, by 2014, make no mistake about it, this town is going to rock and roll again and make money like it never has before. The other thing that I see coming here that I find very interesting is the rest of the world hasn't gone through this. Not yet. But it will. Japan hasn't closed any plants whatsoever. They are now facing overcapacity. In Europe, there's really been not any real big plant closings, no big layoffs whatsoever. It's harder to do that sort of thing over there. I mean, as you guys all know, Marino is trying to close a plant in Germany and Sicily. Even the Pope came in and said, you can't do this. That's how hard it is. But when you look at the fact that Europe and Japan, because they don't want to go through the brutality that we went through, and make no mistake about it, as good as everything looks from here on out, remember, there are a lot of innocent people who came in every single day, put in an honest day's work for their entire career, and lost their jobs through no fault of their own. And we can't forget them. But I just wanted to leave you with that thought that, I'm telling you, I have never seen the opportunity for the automakers and the suppliers in Detroit in my career that I see going forward in the future.